Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse, and you are our wonderful Patreon patrons who are sitting at home watching this. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for supporting us. Let's get right into it today.
All right. Let's watch this video from Bloomberg. It's a couple minutes of interesting analysis. Here it is.
You'd think most customers would be happy about a price cut, but you profiled a guy who literally bought his Model 3 days before, or maybe a day before the price was cut, thousands of dollars. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, he bought a Model 3 fully loaded, the Performance Edition, $68,000 at the end of last month, the very end of last month, because he knew the tax credit, his dealer told him the tax credit was going down in July. Well, then comes this month, and Elon cut the price of that car by more than $6,000. So if he would have bought it this month, even if you factor in that the tax credit changed, he still would have saved $4,500. So he's fuming mad.
So talk to us about how this is renewing concerns about demand for the Model 3. Of course, it's in part potentially tied to the tax credit, but what about demand in general?
Right. You know, Elon Musk has very high expectations for sales of this model. So he's had a series of price cuts throughout the year, which has sort of confused and frustrated consumers. The gentleman that I profiled talked about how one of the reasons, this is the third Tesla he's bought, and one of the reasons he buys them is because of the price certainty. He said, unlike other dealers where they're bargaining on price, he felt confident that the guy buying the car behind him wouldn't get a better deal than he did. Well, that's not what happened this time, so he said this shakes his faith in Tesla.
So, meantime, the prices in China, what's happening there as the company builds its Shanghai factory?
Well, they're trying to build it up, and that Shanghai factory is critical to Elon meeting his sales goal of a half billion cars this year. That's a very hard goal, a stretch goal, you might call it. The analysts don't see it happening, but if they don't get the plant up and running in China, there's no hope.
Is that guy from the 80s?
Yeah,
Are they through some time dilation kind of just the camera grain and his just basic appearance and what's going on behind him? It just looks like he's from the 80s.
No, you know where he's from?
What?
Detroit.
Close enough, right? It's just so futterton over here.
Okay, so this guy's story is that he talked to a guy. That's the story. I talked to this guy in Detroit. All right, already you got a bad story. Yeah. I talked to this guy in Detroit, and he was upset because he bought a Tesla, and then next week the price dropped $6,000. Right. Okay, so he was upset. That's the story?
Right.
Let me just tell you something. Most consumers are not upset when the price of something goes down. In fact, that attracts them to the product. So that's BS. Next, he says that this guy was upset, and the whole reason he buys the cars is because they're going to keep their value. No, that's not why he buys the cars.
You dolt.
He buys them. He's bought 3 of them. Obviously, he buys them because he loves all the different features of the Tesla.
Right. So
that's bogus. But most consumers, they never hear about a price drop or a price increase or whatever because that's done at the dealer level.
Sometimes they do hear about it because, hey, come on down to Bob's Cars. Yeah, we're going to sell you some cars. Today we got 50% off and you're going to get $70 billion cash back with some fine print at the bottom. And, right? And, and I don't I don't come back to the dealership and I'm like, hey, Bob Cars. What do you think? What are you doing?
Well, here's the thing.
I want my cash back. What the heck?
People who buy cars all the time, they know the right time to buy a car. Okay. And so they wait and they know, and they don't complain because they know when these dips are going to happen. The average consumer, their car broke one day and they need a new car. They don't have the luxury of going, you know what? I'm going to wait 6 months till December and get that good deal. So they're forced into it. But what I'm saying is you go buy your car. Next week, you hear about your friend Fred who bought a car. Mm-hmm. He's not going to, first of all, tell you what he paid. That's usually we keep that all kind of secret. But also, that's some deal he got with the dealer in a closed room behind closed doors where they're like, well, how much for that trade-in? And we'll give you a better rate on the loan.
Right.
So nobody knows. With Tesla, everyone knows because it's public information. That's why there's so many people upset when it's like, oh, I bought it. No, it's cheaper for you. How about go... Good job.
Right. If you're buying the cars only to sell them the next day,
then you're an idiot.
Don't do that.
Right.
That's a bad business model.
Buy them to enjoy them.
Right. You buy a car to drive it. If you're buying it to sell it, That's called a dealer,
Right.
and you should be a dealer.
Right.
That means you should be a car dealer.
Right.
And I mean, let's
Why-
talk about the number of people who are going to get upset about this. Let's say they do this every 6 months, right? Let's say Tesla comes out and we're like, we're cutting the prices. Or let's say they're raising the prices, whatever. It's only going to be the people who just recently bought it. I bought my car months and months and months ago. I do not care about what the price is. I'm not checking the Model 3 prices. I don't care. I'm driving my car all the time. Yesterday, I drove my car for like 8 hours. I drove it up a f***ing mountain. I did. I was like, I took my own advice when we were talking about driving up mountains.
Right.
I was like, Mount Monadnock, navigate. And I zipped up it. Oh my God, was it so fun. Right? I got completely off topic. What were we talking? We're talking about, okay, right. See, I don't care what the price of the freaking car is.
And then the next thing is, if you watch this, you realize that the woman interviewing him from Bloomberg, she's just feeding off a script of questions that have been predetermined. She's not trying to get to the truth. She's
Right.
just like, okay, ask question 2 now. So she asked the question about the China factory, and he gives you this bogus, talk about a straw man argument.
Yeah.
He says, oh, well, this is a stretch goal for Tesla, and if they don't meet it, oh, that's going to be horrible.
yeah, there's going to be no hope.
No hope. Okay, first of all,
What?
Let's say that the China factory burned down. Okay,
Right, a giant tornado.
right.
Ripped it out
Godzilla
of the
stepped
ground.
on it and it's gone. Okay, the Tesla wouldn't come out the next day and be like, "There's no hope for the company.
Well,
We're
we've given
doomed."
up. We're
Right.
all leaving. We've
They
disbanded the
didn't-
company.
They didn't have the factory before, so there's plenty of hope. Also, they'd rebuild the factory because it would be insured. But anyway, they are building the factory, so that's a total bogus argument.
at a record clip.
And if you're going to make an argument like that, then say the other side of it. So if you say there's no hope if it doesn't work, what's the other side of it? If they do build it, what happens?
yeah. They're going to have a gigafactory in China?
Right.
Hello?
So a continual FUD. And what is that designed to do? If you're thinking of getting in on the stock because you had heard a little something from Zach and Jesse, you're like, oh, but I heard on Bloomberg, there's no hope.
Right.
This is all FUD. There's nothing. If you actually take it apart like we're doing now, it just falls apart. The arguments fall on their face.
Weak.
And it
It's
shows
like a wet paper bag.
It shows that Bloomberg is the same as CNBC.
Right.
There's something going on.
Right.
Somebody somewhere doesn't want it to happen. Now, Michael Bloomberg, please, if you're watching, knock it off. Get rid of some producers. I don't know what you're doing here. Let's move on.
Yeah. Oh,
This one's-
this one. Oh, great.
All right, we
Oh,
got another-
let me just.
All right, we got another video to show you. This one is VW's A New Mission. I don't know why every week now they've been spending so much money on marketing, but here's their new vision.
Go.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6, 5. Down engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom.
Okay.
So luckily we were able to actually show with the music.
Right, because
Well,
we don't
luckily,
monetize
not
this.
luckily.
Okay, so this was David Bowie's Space Odyssey. This was a demo of the Space Odyssey song. So I think what VW is trying to show you here is like how hip and cool they are. Shame on you, David Bowie's estate, for selling VW this song. You didn't have to. And if you know anything about music publishing, if you own the rights to a song, you don't have to let anyone use that song if you don't want to. So they negotiated a price for the song. And I think if David Bowie were alive, he would never have allowed that.
Right.
So shame on you, estate. You're just doing a money grab.
I know.
Secondly, what this video did is what VW is really good at. They appropriated history.
Right. I'm sorry. Did Volkswagen did they land on the moon?
Oh, I thought it was a bug that landed on the moon.
No.
No, what they did here was they show you the moon and a picture of their car in 1969. Then they show you Earth and a picture of their soon-to-be, well, not even soon-to-be, car that'll be coming out. And so then in your mind, you're like, oh, they care about the moon landing. They were part of history.
They're getting
No,
rid
they
of
weren't.
Can I
No,
just,
they weren't.
Can I just go off on a little tangent? They're getting rid of their Bug.
Right.
They're getting rid of the most popular car
Right.
in American
Make
history.
it an electric Bug.
I think that they might do that. I think that they're going to take it away, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, I want a Bug," and then they're
they'll
going
bring
to
it
be like, "We made an electric Bug."
That just shows that they're all
Great.
about marketing.
They are all about marketing.
But let's look at the statistics they had at the end here, okay? Because they really care about the Earth. They want to invest $50 billion worldwide by 2023 towards an electric future. Well, let me explain.
What's an electric future? What?
It's called
Specify.
It's called basically they finally got it. They need to make cars that are electric. So what they're saying is we're going to stay alive as a company, and you should celebrate that.
It's as
What?
if tomorrow, right? It's as if I was a big lemonade stand manufacturer, and all of a sudden, all the lemons on Earth died, right? So there's no more lemons to make lemonade.
Right.
And tomorrow, I came out with an ad, and it was like the moon landings and lemonade, and also we're switching to mango juice. We're gonna spend $50 billion worldwide to go switch to mango juice, and you'd be like, yeah, you'd have to switch to something, I'd assume.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same thing.
It is. And now they say they are introducing 70 new all-electric models globally by 2028. Well, first of all, let's look at the number at the end of the sentence. 2028.
Right.
That's
Oh.
9 years from now.
Oh, who knows? Am I going to be pulling up this ad in 9 years from now? I should. I should put it in my Google Calendar. 9 years in 2028. Jesse, look at this stupid ad. And I'm going to be like, oh, YouTube, that was so funny how we used to have a channel. Right? And we're going to, maybe I'll look at it. But the rest of us are not going to be like,
No.
VW, you said in 2019 that in 2028 that you were going to. No.
How about you switch all your models now?
Right.
Next, we're going to invest $800 million to expand our Chattanooga plant to build EVs. Well, that's because you have to. Because
right, again,
otherwise you're out of business in this
Mango
country.
juice. You can't build anymore. You can't do lemonade.
And then
Lemonade's
this one,
not working.
This one makes me the maddest. We're going to go carbon neutral globally by 2050. Okay, so to go carbon neutral, I know a lot about it because like EcoWare, we're carbon neutral.
Carbon neutral.
Everything I do is carbon neutral. To do that, it takes money. Let's be honest. You take what you're doing, you try and do it as ecologically as you can, but then what you can't do ecologically, you pay money to offset so that you're planting trees somewhere or you're doing some other projects that offset that carbon.
Right.
Well, if it's just money, VW has gobs of money.
Do
why
it
don't
now,
you just go
today.
Why don't you go carbon neutral now?
Right. Plant 1 billion trees. You know what would be a more powerful commercial than being like, the space program to the moon? VW would be like, hello, we're Volkswagen and we're planting 20 billion trees across the world.
Right.
And this is going to reduce the carbon impact. We're actually now a carbon neutral company.
Right.
Even though we are switching to electrics as fast as we can, but we can't do it fast enough. We still need to in order to make the money to go to electric cars, we still need to keep selling our gas and diesel versions, but we are going to be mitigating that effect by planting these 20 billion trees.
Here it is. Most of their carbon neutralness is going to come from the fact that by 2050, if they're still in business, which is highly doubtful, then their electric cars will be already a large part off the books because they'll be neutral. Then they'll only have to pay for a few other little things. So they don't want to pay any money to go carbon neutral. They don't really care about carbon neutral. They just marketing department told them that was a good term to use,
that's
and
a
they
good
pushed
term,
it off
yeah.
to 2050, which again you'll never remember. No one's ever going to fact check this. I think we should do this. We should take this little ad here at the end,
Right,
which
'cause
shows
they have this stupid
shows
ad.
the moon and shows their buggy in 1969. And I think we should put a couple things in the middle because they say in 1969 they were obsessed with the moon. And in 2019, they're obsessed with the Earth. Well,
But they skipped a whole
yeah.
bunch of steps.
Let's
right
take this.
there.
1990s, obsessed with money. That's what you were obsessed with in the 90s. And in the 2000s, you were obsessed with keeping secret your Dieselgate scandal. Put that on your friggin' marketing because
Right.
that's the truth.
And you don't want to go back. You don't want to go before 1969.
No, you don't.
Trust me, right? So they're just picking apart these two. They're just whitewashing history. I mean,
That's all it is.
It's really, it's like if I were just a terrible person, but I had done like 2 really good things, and
Yeah.
I was like, hey, remember when I did that? Remember when I made you breakfast in bed? And then you're like, yeah, but you also like murdered my whole family that day. Yeah, but then today,
Breakfast in bed.
breakfast in bed again.
Also, just neither of these two things are real. The moon landing, that's something that NASA did. Okay?
Right.
You can't take credit
Even
for that.
if you wanted to
And-
argue, like, you
and then
can't.
Earth. Okay, You don't care about Earth. So both of those
You've
are
done
lies.
more to destroy the
Yes.
planet than practically any other company in the world, any other person, individual, anything.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
What the You can't say that.
I know. All right, let's move on to Audi. Well, it's
Great. Audi, which it's owned by Volkswagen, right? Okay, great. Excellent.
okay. So last year's LA Auto Show, we saw this, which is the Audi e-tron GT, or basically their sedan model, so not their SUV model. And Audi is now saying that the e-tron sedan will be built at the Audi R8 plant in Ballinger-Holle in Germany with a late 2020 production. So here's the specs. 434 kilowatts, 590 horsepower of power. So that's good. 2 motors, all-wheel drive. Awesome. 95 kilowatt-hour battery. 150 kilowatts of fast charging up to 70%, and then it drops off. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.5 seconds. Top speed of 250 kilometers an hour, which is 149 miles an hour. And that was done to maximize range. And then the range is 248 miles or 400 kilometers, and it's a 4-seater, not a 5-seater. So I just want to point out, again, it's fine. It's a fine car. I'm not like...
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
But we don't have a
today.
price yet, and the price is not going to be cheap.
Right. Look. If they came out with it today, I would be excited. I would be like, oh, well, this is a car that you could conceivably replace a Model S with. And there might be some feature. It's got the same specs.
Does it, though? It can't autopilot. It's not as safe. And you can't use it as a supercharger network. So,
Okay.
no, it doesn't. Also, it has one less seat.
It has the same specs, kind of, in terms of range. The things that I think you have to care about the most.
248 miles. That's not...
Look. Okay. We're just focusing on one. We're just trying to get...
Okay, you're trying to be positive?
Just
Okay.
trying to be a little positive here.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Decent. It's pretty good.
Right.
In terms of specs for today.
Right.
Late 2020 production means that no, it's not going to keep up. If the Roadster is going to be out by 2021 at what it seems like perhaps the latest, could be 2023. Who cares? It's still going to come out before this car. You'll have the Roadster, which of course costs more. Model S already has better specs than this. Yep. You can buy one for better specs, and the Model S has consistently been lowering in price and upping in features. I'm just saying, since 2012, you would spend a lot of money to buy a Model S, and it wouldn't have as much range as it does today for roughly the same-ish price.
Right.
So either Audi's going to have to come out with a price that's like Model 3 range in price, where you're going to get this level of spec for about 40 grand.
They can't.
Or when they come out with this late 2020 production, the Model S and the Model 3, especially the Model 3, is going to mop the floor with them.
That's okay with them. You know why? They're building it at this tiny, tiny factory. This R8 factory is a hand-built factory. They hand-build these R8s.
That's true.
They're going to put in a line right next to the R8. Why? Because they're going to hand-build this one. It's going to be a very production-limited car. Why is that? Because they don't have, first of all, the batteries. They're not going to have the demand. So they just are buying themselves a seat at the table of being like, we're in the EV world now.
this.
Right.
The same thing that they've done with the e-tron.
And do you know why else they're doing this? I think it's to attract talent. If you're an engineer who's coming out of college or whatever, and you're thinking like, should I work for Tesla? Should I work for Audi? They can go, no, come work for us.
Quick.
We have an electric department.
Don't go.
Come see it.
Wait. You'll see. It's good.
We have. That's all they're doing. If they had nothing, you would never be able to attract any engineers. And that's, I think, why they're doing it. All right, let's end on a fun note. This is Motor Trend's social media questions for Elon.
You guys had a lot of questions, so we went to Twitter and Instagram and asked all of our followers, if you could ask Elon Musk one question, what would it be? Let's go. How do you become a meme lord on Twitter?
Well, you have to have great skill and talent, of course. But I think fundamentally a meme lord is born and not made. Came out of the womb that way.
So what planet are you really from?
I'm from Mars.
Are hot dogs sandwiches?
No.
Hayden Lambright goes deep. What advice would you give your younger self if you could go back?
I've made many mistakes along the way, so be very careful with who you work with. If somebody can have great ability but not a good heart, do not work with them. It's not a good idea.
When is Tesla ever coming to Africa?
Well, technically, we do sell Powerwalls in South Africa. I think probably next year.
Is there some way we could get exhaust sounds on an electric car?
Yes, you can download them on your phone and then play them while driving.
What's your favorite ice cream?
I guess Ben & Jerry's Coquito ice cream.
Okay.
It's pretty damn amazing.
Why not hydrogen?
Oh God, not that again. A fuel cell fundamentally cannot compete with a battery. The cost and complexity of a fuel cell system is far greater than a battery system.
Last question is a good one. What is outside the simulation?
Oh, beats me. Probably another simulation. It's simulations all the way down.
And that has been your social media questions for Mr. Elon Musk.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
All right, thanks, Ed.
This was great.
This
I
is
mean,
great.
that's fun. That's fun. It's nice and light.
You know, when we get a chance to interview Elon, we're going to have some big questions for him, but I think we should pepper in between lots of just fun stuff, because that's, I think, how you get his brain relaxed and flowing. And
Right.
I learned more from him just on things like this.
Elon, he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that he's a lot more like a Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of guy. Like if Elon, instead of doing all the amazing things he did, was like, I'm going to be a science communicator and I'm just going to tell people about what science could be. You know, let's say someone else had taken care of the electric car stuff and he was a science communicator, he would be fun, right? Because I watch, you know, whenever Neil deGrasse Tyson is in any network television studio or whatever, they approach him like, Neil, what do you think about aliens? And he's like, oh, let me tell you about aliens this, aliens that. When they came over here, they must have said that there is no intelligent life on the planet. And everyone's like, oh, wow, that's so deep. I didn't even ever think about that, because this is network television. We don't think about anything intelligent. And Elon could do the exact same thing. He could be, you know, if he were a little bit better at public speaking, you know, let's say that he didn't focus on building a relandable rocket and the Model 3, you know, production ramp, and instead he was, you know, getting coached how to speak, you know, in a flowy kind of way.
Did you notice, though? I know this is highly edited,
Yeah.
but when he's in a relaxed mood,
True.
he's funny.
Yep.
He's relatable. It's just when he gets, and it's like, okay, Elon, you're on for an hour and a half. Go.
I know.
That he's kind of like,
You need to tell us about the future for the next 50 years.
okay, so I have so much stuff in my head and I don't know how to get it out. But
I have a question that's unrelated to
Right.
anything you talked about today.
Right.
Can you answer it? Instead of being like, no, next question,
Right.
he's like, okay, so you want me to make an aquatic car? Yeah, we worked on that a little bit, actually. And let me talk to you about, you know, like he has so much going on in his brain all the time. It is nice to just be like, Elon, how to become a meme lord, right? Because he is a meme, like no one really gives him credit for this, but like he's just like a dude on the internet, and everyone who is young and on Twitter is just like, Elon's the funniest guy.
Yeah.
But it's like between him and the Wendy's Twitter handle.
Well, and I watch his Twitters a lot, and when he tweets out something funny, it gets retweeted and loved thousands and thousands of times. When he tweets out some very like specific thing about the car, nobody loves it, no one retweets it. That's because most of the people following him are just people on the internet who just care about his memes.
Right.
It is very interesting to see.
It's such an interesting dynamic that he has. You know, as the CEO of a company, not a lot of CEOs have that. Usually, you have
None of them have
I know,
that.
but usually you'd have the guy who runs your Twitter, which Tesla has,
Right.
and that guy's right. If that guy's watching, fantastic. You do a great job. And if anyone knows who that guy, I mean,
We know who he is.
we know who he is. Send it to him. Like send him in a private message this Patreon bonus story, because I want to thank him personally, and maybe put the timestamp so he doesn't have to watch the whole thing. But I think he might like it. I don't know. Send
I think he
it
would.
to him. Send it to him. I just want to, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It was nice. That was nice that they weren't just like fudding on him.
Right.
That they weren't just like, so why do you think it's never going to work,
It was
right?
nice seeing the Motor Trend, head guy there. I think they finally get it. I think their group of editors finally gets it. They're like, oh my God, this car company is amazing. We are called Motor Trend, and this is what we should be following. This is the future.
Good thing they didn't call it Engine Tread, because they'd have to change the name.
Anyway, I just want to say on a personal note, this is a true statement. If it were not for you guys, you Patreons out there, you patrons of our channel, we would not be here. That is not just some hyperbole that I say. Is absolutely true. There's no way we would have made it to 150 shows. We just couldn't have done it, both morally, like, because there's been plenty of times when we've been ripped apart on the internet for being like Tesla fanboys and stuff, and you guys have stood behind us. But financially, because this show costs money. I've been pouring money into making the show so that it's enjoyable, so it's full of information, so it's inspirational, so it's motivational for you guys.
Right.
But I don't have enough money to do that.
And I have to be honest, too, it has mostly been Zach doing almost all of the work for this show. So you might be saying like, oh, Jesse is such a great, valuable member of the team.
Well, he is.
And sure, I am. I can just rant for as long as I need to about something, and I am up with it because we've been keeping up with it. But I don't have time during the week. I don't have enough time during the week to devote to this show because I have a full-time job. So 40 hours a week, every day, every weekday, I am getting up early and I'm going to work and I'm working the whole day, and then I get home, and I think a lot of you know what that's like because a lot of you do that. Imagine getting home and going to work again. It sucks. It's not fun. Even though it's something that I care about, even though it's something that I do enjoy, it is not fun to get home from work and go to work again.
Right.
It's like if your boss called and he was like, hello, yeah, you need to come back here and work for probably until 10 or 11 at night, and then probably we'll have like a discussion, like a really good discussion that might last till 2.
Is there overtime? No pay.
No. I don't get much pay. I don't get overtime pay for the overtime that I do on the show. Because we have to pay our editors, and there's so many other things that we want to do. We want to have producers, we want to have directors and camera people, we want to have people, because we can take this show to there's no limit to, and I say this show, I mean this YouTube channel, like there's no limit to the amount of amazing, crazy things that we can do.
Right.
We need more support in order to do those things. We're actually, we're finding ways to be stable at this growth that we're hopefully going to continue to have. But just being able to, if one day I could not have to go to work and my job was YouTube, was Now You Know, and Tesla Time News, and we could be just every day like, oh, let's spend a couple hours and work on the news together, it would be a much better show.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you guys because, you guys are not the problem here. I always feel like we're talking to people who are doing the right thing. Always,
They are.
right? Even on Tesla Time News, even the people who aren't our Patreons, they're like talking about positive change in the world about EVs and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
I'm always preaching to the choir. You guys do support us, and I thank you so much for it. You're going to make it what's possible for me to at some point not have to go to work every day, 40 hours a week.
Well,
just
you'll be
to earn a
working.
paycheck. I will be working, but I'm not going to be, doing something unrelated to what I deeply care about, what my passion is, just in order to, be able to afford rent and my car and food.
I love how you put your car ahead of food. I love it. I don't need to eat as long as I can drive my Model 3.
I've learned enough survival techniques from YouTube where I could probably do without eating for a while.
You can sneak up on wild animals in your car.
It's very true.
So
I'm sure, but again, eating it's better than factory farmed. But I would like to keep a vegetarian diet if at all possible. So I guess I'd switch to
you
farming.
can sneak up on plants too.
But I mean, if I had to farm my own food, that would take a long time, and we wouldn't have much time for YouTube either.
That's
so. Long tangent, but thank you so much for supporting this channel. And if there are other people in your life who you want to get on board with this kind of thing, it's really hard to do. I know that it's really hard to do to get people to talk about electric cars because it has not had the most positive connotation. FUD has really it just put its little hooks in everybody. Yep. And so it's hard to have this kind of conversation. And I hope that this YouTube channel can be in some way an approachable way, because you just have to look at it, right, with your eyeballs and your ears.
And then it becomes obvious.
It can be a pretty obvious way to get in there And so, yeah, share it. You can share with the timestamp. If you don't know how to do that, you can reach out to me on Patreon. We can figure something out and teach you how to do that.
But I mean, there's a lot of other channels out there that you might point people to, and you're like, oh, these are electric, EV kind of channels. But then every week or so, they come up with some story that's negative. They're like, oh, but will this fall apart by 2020? Will there be enough batteries in the world? And they always go the negative because I think they've realized on YouTube you have to do that to get the eyeballs. We, first of all, don't believe that's true. We think that this is the way to go. I mean, as you're going to hear about in the next part of the show on Tesla Time News, the Riker electric car was out in 1896, and it was already amazing. Like, that car today is amazing to watch that thing drive around. To think
we'll pop a clip in right now so you can watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So this is an 1896 car running today,
Right.
And if just think about that future for a second. Think about if that car had kept evolving, we would be, the Nissan Leaf would have happened in the 40s. You know what I mean?
Easily.
Right. I mean,
Right.
And then, Tesla Model S would have happened in the 60s. And then we would have God knows what today because we would have had engineers around the world working on all these battery problems. And we'd have crazy batteries right now.
we would have that
everything.
Bentley by this point.
Exactly.
5,000-year-old Riverwood.
Right. So that's what we're talking about is we're trying to teach about this history that actually happened. The fact that we were grabbed by the oil companies and pulled back in time because they wanted to keep
making
money on you. And you're not going to hear about that on other channels that I know of.
It's too controversial
Yeah.
for most other channels, for most people, because, you bring this stuff up in casual conversation, people pretty quickly going to be like, okay, I'm
Right.
going to go over to the sandwich area. And just,
Right.
But it's true, and we're just after the truth here.
Yeah.
And bringing it to you every week, and you guys make it possible. Thank you so much.
Now you know.